Welcome to Defenders of Craft, a Craft Pride podcast, bringing you the heart and soul of beer culture in Austin and around Texas. All right, so we're live, or we're recording at least. So I want to thank you guys for making some time to sit down with us again and have a little conversation about some of the things that we're having a party for here on January 20th, doing the Bishop's Barrel Blowout. We're going to do every Bishop's Barrel bottle that's ever been bottled. And we're doing a selection of some of our favorites. We have the number 4, the Barrel Aged Weizenbach, the number 5, the Wee Heavy in bourbon barrels. The number 7 we're doing is just a Russian Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels. That one's really nice. And then we have 9 is the Pumpkinator in bourbon barrels, the Bourbonator. This 15 is a barley wine in rye whiskey barrels.
Correct.
And then we're doing 16, which is the Belgian Double in red wine barrels with Brett.
Correct.
And then 17 is Adam Beer in bourbon barrels. And then 19, to top it off, is like probably one of my favorites, the Christmas Ale in Chardonnay barrels with cherries.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. So since we're talking about Bishop's Barrels, when we were there, we tried the Bishop's Barrel 20, like right out of the
barrel.
Right out of the barrel, and it was fantastic. Isn't that kind of similar to the number 16? Is it that same base beer?
It's the same base beer. We also added. We tried a barrel with raspberry puree in it, actually. So what we'll do with Bishop 20 is, when we packaged 16 and we were trying the final blends, we were kind of thinking, well, this is a really great beer, but how can we learn from it and go the next step and evolve from it? And our thought was, well, let's add some fruit character, but we don't want it to be a fruit beer. We just kind of want to enhance the flavors that we really enjoy from it. So our thought was, well, let's add a 33% raspberries to the total amount of barrels. And so, that's what we tried with you guys. And in the overall blend, it won't have that overtly, raspberry flavor, but it'll be kind of more homogeneous with the rest of with the actual blend itself.
But when are y'all aiming to have that out?
February.
February?
So if you wait a month, you could have all 21 or all 20 Bishop barrels instead of just 19. Or you'll just have to have another party.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Darn.
We're taking so many things out of our cellar to make this work that this will be the end-all, be-all, at least for Craft Pride, to do anything like this ever again. Yeah. But we're pretty excited about that either way.
I mean, you guys, myself, and Brock, the owner, are the only people that I know that still have all of them. It's just hard to keep all those and cellar them properly. And that's pretty cool that you guys are doing that.
It helps that we have a designated place to cellar things,
Yeah.
So one of the big reasons why we wanted to do all this is not just about Bishop's Barrel, but you guys as a brewery. You won huge at the GABF this year, bringing home medals. And one of the best honors, I feel like, is the best mid-sized brewery. That's a huge, huge win. And as native Houstonians, we're super proud to have a hometown hero like St. Arnold's really represent for Texas. So first of all, give yourself a round of applause for that and tell us how that's affected things there at the brewery.
What was it like hearing it? You were there at GABF.
Oh, it was. Yeah. So this year and last year's GABF, we were limited to the amount of beers that we could put in the competition itself. We were only limited to 4 beers that we could enter, and so that prevents us from increasing our odds of winning a medal, obviously. So winning a medal alone is something to be proud of, and then actually winning 3 out of the 4 entries it's incredible. And the way their GABF kind of runs, when they announce the brewery of the years, they wait until that brewery has won all their medals. So we win the Pumpkinator Gold, obviously you're always excited because that feeling never gets old. We get the second one for Amber, which is incredible because it's a 23-year-old beer and just shows the quality of the beer that we're making and something to be proud of as well. And then that third one, Weed Whacker, wins, and we walk up to the stage and it was like, oh wait, they haven't announced Mid-Size Brewery yet. We're like, holy crap! It's like, is this us? Is it going to be us? And they announced it, and we just fucking flipped out. It was it was incredible.
Yeah, I can only imagine like such a large festival, and after days and days of going through and getting to try all these other beers that you may or may not have ever had, to be able to, in a real like meeting of your peers, be recognized on a national level like that is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I remember Fatheads were right behind us on our third medal, and they had won a couple already, and I wasn't sure if they were going to be winning it or if it was going to be us. I was like, well, we've lost to Fatheads before. We've lost to Firestone. We almost won World Beer Cup Brewing of the Brewery of the Year back, like, I don't know, five years ago or so. And I was like, yeah, well, I'll take a loss to Firestone. They're pretty incredible. So
Yeah, they're all right.
Yeah.
But this time we won.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Brock's face as he couldn't fucking believe it. It was awesome.
So now you just got to keep it up till next year, like can't drop that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily have the mentality of approaching beer so that we can just constantly win medals. I mean, it's nice, but we want to make the beer that we want to make, and we want to ensure that our customers are enjoying the beers that we've made, that we continue to make.
Yep, that sounds great.
Medals are a nice side note.
So maybe not everybody knows what category mid-sized brewery is for the national scale. How many barrels is that a month, and how many barrels do you guys brew?
So in a year, a mid-sized brewery is categorized at 15,000 barrels to 2 million. 6 million barrels. 15,000 to 6 million. So that encompasses breweries like Sierra Nevada, New Belgium, Sam Adams, or Boston Beer Company, and then small all the way down to 15,000 barrels. So we clocked in at just over 67,000 barrels for 2017. That's
really close to 6 million. Are you guys worried you might be sizing yourself out of this one?
Yeah, we have no desire to reach that 6 million right off the bat, because we still can continue to grow our market share within Houston. So I think Houston and Texas and our surrounding areas is our priority.
Yeah, that's kind of terrific that you're competing against brands with heavy national distribution, and you guys are essentially like a regional brewery, and you're competing with Sam Adams and Sierra Nevada. These are the people who started the craft beer revolution, and that's really, I feel like, a huge honor and a huge win for Texas. Way to go, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I feel like everywhere that I go, we see your beer. Even in hyper-competitive markets where there's multiple beer bars in a certain area, you got to have St. Arnold's. How do you guys compete so well in these markets?
Quality and consistency. I think that's the big thing that as a brewer and kind of managing the brew houses, that's what I push on our team is we need to be consistent and we need to have the highest quality as possible, because I think that's what we stand for. And going back, Amber won a medal at GABF, and that beer's been around for 23 years. So a beer that can still win medals at that age it just proves of the quality of beer that it is. I think those are the two things that I'm most proud of, and the third would be community. Brock always preaches the build community through beer, and I definitely swallow that pill every day.
So you've got really well established staples, which is awesome. So what kind of creativity do they allow you to exercise on that daily swallowing of the community beer pill?
We foster a very creative environment, in my opinion. All of our brewers are encouraged to test brew. We go through a fairly extensive training program at St. Arnold. I think it's fairly unique within our industry that the brewers both they know how to brew and they know how to maintain the cellar when it comes to fermentation, cellar, centrifuge, and filtering. Usually those two aspects are separated. Usually you're on the brew team and you just brew wort and that's it. And then you have a cellar operator that filters and maintains fermentation. So our training usually is anywhere between 6 to 9 months. So it's quite a long time for someone to be kind of taking the training wheels off. And I feel that kind of enforces those brewers to be aware of what happens on the hot side and what happens on the cold side. And once they move on from that, then everybody is encouraged to test brew. I mean, we have brands that we have brands like Icon that need to be focused on. We need to focus on Icon Green or focus on Icon Gold, but we kind of create these parameters within, okay, kind of focus on this kind of style, but from there it's kind of open-ended. Then you have Divine Reserve, which is anything's possible with that. Bishop Barrel, we want to keep that obviously as innovative as possible. So we want to foster that creativity because that's what I love about being a brewer. And most other breweries that I know, there's a head brewer that kind of
calls all the shots.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the Bishop's barrels go, especially since we're gonna have all of them in bottle and a bunch on draft, like, do you have any particular favorites out of the lineup or any particularly like interesting or creative times that stick out to you in the brew house?
So every time this question comes up, it's the cop-out answer is my favorite one is the one that's coming out, and the reason why that
one's really awesome though.
The reason why that is I mean, there's so much time involved in the creation of the Bishop Barrel. It's because we have a 2-year catalog of what's either aging or what's going to come out in 2 years, because it takes anywhere between as short as 3 months for some of our releases to as long as 22 months. So we know going in that we have to have the R&D done and the scheduling of those already set up so that we can prepare for the release. So you kind of go through that process, go through the test brewing process, then you go through the actual production of it, then it ages for X amount of months, and then it finally gets released. And during that whole time, you're committed to this beer, and then you can actually tell the public why you're passionate about it.
Did you have any that you got kind of cold feet about your commitment? Like you were kind of concerned maybe weren't going to come out so well, or
maybe 12.
I love 12.
So that one aged 21 months, and right around the 12-month mark, I started because it has Brettanomyces, and there was one strain of Brettanomyces, Lambicus, and in its early stages of secondary fermentation, it can create some, to put it bluntly, some fecal characteristics. And it was the first time that I was experimenting with Lambicus, and I was like, oh, fuck, I fucked this whole thing up. Yeah, but I was like, well, I talked to some people that I really respect in the industry, people with experience with the Lambicus, and they said, no, just wait. And I waited, and it turned out really great. And Lambicus eventually became one of my favorite strains for secondary fermentation, and it's just something you have to be patient with. And it's kind of that thing with when you age beer in barrels is you, as a brewer, you just kind of have to let go a little bit and let the wood do its thing.
Feel it out.
So when we're talking about that, I know one of your pet projects is this terroir form. And that's coming out the night before our event, the 19th, right?
Correct.
Yes, the 19th. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be part of a benefit. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that?
So I know it's for the Gordon Foundation. That's kind of spearheaded by Chris Shepard and Kevin Floyd of the Underbelly Hay Merchant Restaurant Group. It's a charity for a former chef in Houston that now I'm trying to remember what
passed away. He was diagnosed with MS, and
That's
then
right.
But this organization kind of focuses on mental health for MS patients, and so that it's going to benefit the Grant Gordon Foundation.
Yeah, and first there was Terraform, which was Oktoberfest aged in red wine barrels that they acquired from Minor Wine Vineyard out in Napa, and we aged Oktoberfest in red wine barrels with Brettanomyces, and then Chris called me and was like, "Yo, I can get some Texas Mustang grapes." I was like, "Would you be interested in those?" And I'm like, "I've never used these grapes before," so I called my buddy Jeff Stuffings from Jester King, who's played around a lot with grapes, and it's like, "I've never played with those, but play with it and let me know how it goes." And we called it Terroir Form, and we kind of played on that whole aspect that wine has a certain level of terroir that gives you an essence of where that liquid comes from. And I like the name Terraform, so because that kind of encapsulates changing an environment so it's hospitable. So Terroir Form kind of changed the original Terraform by using these grapes.
How did you feel about using the grapes once it was actually in practice? How'd that go?
Mustang grapes are mostly used are back sweetened to create kind of a high alcohol wine like port, or they're also back sweetened to make jam. And the reason why they're used to typically back sweetened is because they're so acidic. So I was kind of excited about using them because the Oktoberfest and red wine barrels were fairly sweet. So I felt adding these grapes were going to add a nice acidity to them, and turns out they did exactly that.
Excellent.
So right now you guys are just in Texas. What are your plans for expansion, or are you going to try to just stay here in Texas?
We're also in Louisiana, and plan on staying in Texas and Louisiana.
Not Arkansas?
So we sell stats from 2016 said we sold about 75% of our entire volume in the city of Houston. And if we can continue to grow that home market and the rest of the state in Louisiana, then I would be totally fine staying within those regions. The closer you are to your production facility, you can control the quality of that product a little bit better.
Definitely. I mean, that's kind of leads to y'all's tap room. You guys have a huge tap room. I know that, probably most of your sales are done in the market, but when we were there, your tap room was bumping, and it was just kind of surprising to see how many folks were ready to come out just a couple days after Christmas and drink your beers. How do you guys compete with other breweries that have tap rooms that are bankrolled by these huge brewing conglomerates that have just endless amounts of dollars to invest in their infrastructure?
Probably quality and consistency again. I know when they moved into this facility, I wasn't working here yet, so I was a customer, and I came here for tours, and then I moved away from Texas, came back, and when we had friends visiting from the East Coast, I always brought them to St. Arnold Brewery for tours because just every time it was an experience, and I thought it really spoke to Houston. So that's something that the people that work here, they make sure that you leave with a good memory and experience here.
Yeah.
And y'all are building out a new restaurant and everything over there too, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to have a restaurant and a beer garden right next door.
That's pretty cool. That's part of the St. Arnold Society, correct?
Yes. So if you join the St. Arnold Society, it's a $1,000 payment one time, and you get a free beer each visit. And then you get a mug that you can have stored there. You can come see the beer garden and restaurant before, kind of like a little hard hat tour, and other perks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like the idea of bringing back like the mug club, especially one that is really nice and not just like another glass that's just like, oh, that's Bob's glass right there.
Right. Yeah.
So they're like pewter mugs, right?
Mugs. You'll be able to personalize it up to a certain character amount. And if you want us to store it, we can store it. If you want to take it, that's fine too. But we definitely have that option for people to keep it there.
Nice. Is there any concern? Like, how do you keep track of that? Like, is there like a barcode on the thing? You like scan it, like, oh, you've had your beer today.
Probably.
I imagine there's some POS system that will be involved with that. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like.
So I couldn't just like wear a disguise and.
Well, if you're getting the glass or your mug, then they'll probably have some tally system to know that
that mug has
been utilized
filled.
that day.
Yeah.
What if I put a mustache on the mug?
There you go.
And a nose.
If you get away with it, then good for you.
Yeah, no. We wouldn't want to do that to you guys. We love you. So thank you guys for making some time for us to re-record this and get some of these things in. I'm really excited for the event. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to having you out at the bar, Priscilla, to show you around and show you some of the other cool things that we have to show here in Austin.
Yeah, my coworker Jeremy and I, we are very much looking forward to being there, and we can't wait to hang out with some Austin people and enjoy some Bishop Barrel beers.
Are you going to make it out as well, Aaron?
I unfortunately will not be there. It's my birthday, and I'm gonna stay quiet with my family that day.
Well, happy birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday early. We'll tag you in some photographs. We got some great pictures when we were down there of you in the barrel room. Some great Facebook profile material.
Oh, perfect. Well, if I ever start an account, I'll let you know.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for sitting down with us, and we look forward to hearing from you again.
Yeah. See y'all soon.
All right.